I am here to be an open book about my BHRT journey. We are going to talk about my journey with bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I really want to have a personal, vulnerable chat with all of the women who are going through this extremely difficult time, and I'm going to share a lot of my story before I feel total relief after getting off the phone with my hormone doctor. So when the conversation first started, she was like, okay, so we had all my labs pulled up and she's like, so tell me what you're feeling. And like, I just cried. I just wanted to feel seen. I wanted to know that like I wasn't crazy and that there was something that I could do about A, how I was feeling, and B, that it's my hormones is what is affecting everything, everything that I do in the kitchen, everything that I do with my workouts, everything that, everything that I put in to making myself the healthiest version that I can make me. Like that it's not in vain, and it's not, I'm not going to see the results because right now I see absolutely zero results. I know my body. I'm very in tune with my body. So when things started going awry a year ago and I'm like, what the hell? I know what to do. I'm doing all the things. Like, I just felt very validated. I felt like she was very thorough. Our call was supposed to be 20 minutes. It turned into like 45 minutes. I feel extremely grateful, but also I understand what's going to be happening. I understand what hormones I'm going to be taking during. And today is only day 3 of my BHRT. I feel a 180-degree difference. I can't believe the difference that I'm feeling. Was really proud of myself during that workout. Now I have had pure disdain, hatred, vitriol. I know those are very strong, harsh words, but that's what I have been feeling about my body because I felt like my body has failed me. I am super strong. I am muscular. I have great cardiovascular endurance, and I'm not saying these things to brag, but I know these things about myself because I have worked hard to get to this place. And for the past several months, every time I come in this room, I loathe myself. And you know what? It had nothing to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with my hormones. And I'm really going to try not to cry because I'm not sad today. I'm happy and I'm excited again. And I know it's not about the outwardly appearance, but you know what it is, because the outwardly appearance, like, it lets you know how hard you've worked because you can see it. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to see. I mean, granted, I'm only on day 3, so we will see what happens. But I'm happy with what's going on. I'm happy with the results so far. We're trying to be as honest and forthright as I can with how I'm feeling and like what my experiences are as they're happening. So today, week 2, I felt great pretty much all week except today. I'm just super slumped and tired. And I'll preface that with, I didn't even really work out today. I walked, which I was going to take today as a rest day from lifting. So my goal was my 10,000 steps today. I got like 7,400, and my plan was to go on a walk after dinner. But again, I'm just so tired that that's just not happening. So today is week 3 of starting my BHRT. I'm noticing some changes. So this is actually my first menstrual cycle. So if you didn't know that, I'm in perimenopause. So I'm still getting my period every single month. My cramps are still there. I don't feel like I'm bleeding as much. So the past few months, if you've ever heard women describe their periods as like a murder scene, that's what I feel like I could equate mine to. I was bleeding a lot, especially last month. This month, what I'm noticing is I'm not bleeding as much. I can only think that has to do with my hormones. Maybe because I'm getting more progesterone right now. I don't know if it has anything to do with testosterone. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I really don't know. I'm just sharing my journey. So that's one thing I've noticed. But the other thing, and I think if you've listened to the past couple of my videos, I've talked about how much body image and gaining weight, and that has affected me because I've always been into fitness. I've always tried to maintain, my best figure, whatever that meant. I've birthed 4 children, so I've been through that process of gaining weight, losing weight 4 different times. So, gaining weight during perimenopause is really, really hard. It's just hard for me to not fit into clothes. I'm wearing the same clothes, but they're definitely tighter. Some of them I'm not wearing. So long story short, during my workout today, I noticed a difference. I noticed more muscle mass, tightening up, less inflammation, and when I say inflammation, I think that's another thing that's confusing to people, but it's this weird thing of like puffiness. Like I feel like a lot of water weight. Like I just feel puffier. So I feel like that's going down a little bit. My doctor did say, I will lose weight being on the hormones. A lot of her patients do. Now it's going to take a longer time. So it could take me 6 months, which I'm not a patient person. But yeah, again, I'm just sharing my journey, my experience, what I am going through. I don't know. It doesn't mean that that's what's going to happen to you or you're going to have the same experience, but I don't know. I just feel the need to keep documenting this and to keep sharing it with you. Now I'm going to share some of the afters. I'm only 5 weeks in, but I cannot wait to share this process with you and how it has 1000% changed my life. If you've been following me over on Instagram, I asked what questions you had. What questions could I answer for you? I am not a doctor, so I am not giving any type of medical advice. I am strictly just sharing my journey with you. I want to help any woman I can as you're going through this difficult process. Just be a tool to learn more about it. I am going to link other professionals in this video. I'm going to share my doctor with you. She does telehealth. So if you want to use my doctor, I will leave her links and how you can get a hold of her in the description. I'm also going to link another YouTube doctor that I really like learning from that I will share in the description with you. So if you have questions on specific things, because again, I'm not a doctor and I can't give you maybe exactly the answers that you're looking for about every single thing. So this doctor has been super beneficial for me and I love following her videos weekly. I'm going to share with you the bioidentical hormones that I am taking, but just know every woman is different. And so even though I'm going to share these things with you, your doctor might prescribe something else. I feel the more educated we can be, the more of an advocate we can be for ourselves. We're able to ask the right questions when we go in, and you're not going to know everything. And it's all a learning process. And it takes people different amounts of time to let that all sink in. But I think the more you can do it for yourself and learn on your own and be like, you know what, I'm going to be an advocate for myself so I can feel better, then the better off we are when we go in and we're asking questions. So starting tomorrow, it will be 5 weeks that I have started my hormones. Starting on day 1, I felt a difference, like in my sleep anyway. Day 3, I felt even better. And I said to one of my friends, I didn't realize how bad I was suffering until I'm kind of on the other side. And I'm like, wow. I'm going to start with your questions. There were 5 main questions that I was getting on my Instagram. The first question was, what type of BHRT are you using? Cream, pellets, injectables? I am using a combination of a couple. So for me personally, and you have to go and get your blood work done, I'm going to say from someone who is specialized in women's hormones. So unfortunately, our gynecologist or OB that we went to when we had babies, and that you go for your yearly visits, sometimes they aren't as educated. I'm going to say most of them aren't educated in perimenopause, menopause, women's hormones. It's not their fault. They just aren't given that much education on it. You have to find someone who is educated in this, and that's why I'm going to link my doctor below so you can go and check her out. I will say not all of this is covered under insurance, unfortunately. So I'm just going to let you know right now, my husband and I 100% pay out of pocket for these services that I am getting. I said to myself and I said to my husband, I want to feel good. Like we are going to pay this money because I can't be like this anymore. Taking a combination of hormones. And I'm going to preface this also by saying there are lifestyle things that we also need to look at. You just can't go straight to hormones, although yes, they are going to make you feel better. You have to do some other lifestyle things. So we're talking about, are you working out? Are you doing proper nutrition? Are you getting good sleep? Are you trying to have less stress in your life? I know all those things can be a lot and can be daunting, but those are kind of the precursors before you even start the hormones. So I guess I'm going to talk about what I do first. So I do keep my hormones over here on my nightstand. So I do take other supplements as well. Some in the morning, some in the evening, different parts of my day. So the things that I take at night or first thing in the morning, I make sure are on my nightstand at all times. That's probably why you see magnesium back there, if you can see that. But the thing that I do first thing in the morning is my thyroid needs to be optimized. Not only am I perimenopausal, I also have Hashimoto's, which is a thyroid disease. My doctor has me on a specific thyroid medication that is dosed for me. Okay. So first thing in the morning when I wake up, I always have a glass of water up here that I've put up the night before. And so I take my thyroid medicine. My first part of the day when I'm eating my first meal, I have some supplements that I take. And so I'm also taking DHEA. You can learn more about that. But my doctor has prescribed this to me in the evening, and she's had to adjust this for me. Again, it's kind of a learning process. So I started out with just one capsule of progesterone an evening, which was 200 milligrams. Okay. And everyone's going to be different. Okay. So now I'm taking 2 capsules an evening, which is 400 milligrams progesterone. I'm not here to say like, that's too much, that's too little, whatever. I'm following my doctor, what she said I could do. So when the first few nights I was taking my hormones, which is progesterone and testosterone, and I'll get to the testosterone in a moment, I was starting off with 1 capsule of progesterone. Those first couple of nights, I slept like a baby. And your doctor will tell you, or you might hear, progesterone is like the greatest sleeping pill. And it is. Like, I've never really had an issue falling asleep, but these babies help so much. And it wasn't so much that I was having trouble with sleep like forever. I've never been a person who's had trouble with sleep until the past year. And then I found myself waking up 2 and 3 times during the night, not with night sweats. Night sweats wasn't hot sweats or hot flashes. Night sweats wasn't a symptom I was having. I was just waking up starting like maybe 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Between 1 and 5:30, I was getting up multiple times a night, waking up, which interrupts your sleep, which means you can't have proper sleep hygiene, which means, okay, that's disturbing your hormones even more. So I am taking progesterone capsules at night before I go to bed. And I usually will take them again with water. I will read some of my book. And then the next step is to empty my bladder. So right before I go to bed, I empty my bladder, and then I take a testosterone cream. So again, this is from a compounded pharmacy. This is my own personal one. So I'm not going to click it because I don't want to waste my precious testosterone. But you click it once and it kind of shoots up a little dose of cream, and you put it inside your vagina. So it is something that, you know, you wipe on the inside of you. And so you do this right before you go to bed. So you empty your bladder, and then I do the vaginal cream. Now, there are different things. Like someone asked, there are pellets that you can take, you know, from your hormone specialist. If, you know, they do that. And you can get your progesterone, your testosterone. There are different ways to, like, I guess, get those pellets. I particularly do not do the pellets. My doctor does do the pellets, but she's in Illinois and I am in Ohio. And she actually says this is her preferred method, is the vaginal testosterone cream that you're doing every evening. And that's just how she thinks it's optimal for her patients and herself. She herself is, you know, using this protocol. So I guess to answer that question, what type of BHRT am I using? I am using oral progesterone and a cream testosterone, vaginal cream testosterone. My doctor does not prescribe estrogen, estradiol for women who are still getting their cycle every month, which I am. I'm 46. Again, every woman is different. It's going to depend on your hormones. When you're going to hit, you know, that no period for 1 year. And that is technically when you become menopausal. I don't know if you know that. I didn't know that. So technically there's only 1 day when a woman can say they're in menopause. 1 day. So you're either pre-menopausal, perimenopause, you are in menopause, you hit menopause like that 1 day, and then after that you're post-menopausal. And what does menopause mean? Menopause means you have gone 12 full months without a period. And say you get to month 10, you've had 10 full months without your period, right? You're like, okay, this is happening. I am going to be in menopause. And you get your period in month 11. Guess what? You have to start all over again and track until you get 1 full year, 12 full months without getting your period. That is considered menopause, and it is 1 day. So yes, I know that's a technical thing, but I found it very interesting because I had no idea that that's what that was. My doctor says I'm probably going to be in perimenopause for a few more years. Go me. I guess that's a good thing because I guess that means I still have estrogen flowing through my body and I don't have to supplement for that. So, you know, I guess that's good. All right, let's go to question 2 because I think that's going to let me talk about some of the other things you're probably wondering, and some of my symptoms. So this person wanted to know their question is the whole process, figuring out what you needed, testing, doctors, symptoms. And this is going to go along with another question I received is how did you get started? So these 2 questions kind of fall in line together. Well, very interesting. So I'm going to say, and this is super, super vulnerable and something that I know a lot of women don't talk about, or if you hear other women, maybe you don't reciprocate, oh yeah, that's me too. So I just want to share a little piece of my story with you on the topic of symptoms. So I am not a depressive person. I don't qualify myself as someone who gets easily depressed. I feel like I'm a pretty positive person. I can lift myself up. If something bad happens, maybe I'll let that sit around for a minute or two, but I try to move past it as quickly as possible. And what I was finding with perimenopause, especially since June, so this is October, since June, and even before that, I will say that this started before that. My symptoms started April. I will say my symptoms started April of 2023, and we are in October of 2024. The thing about April 2023 is I had no idea, even though things were starting to happen, I had no idea that they were symptoms of perimenopause. Although I was starting to learn about it, I just didn't connect the 2 things. I didn't connect my symptoms with perimenopause. And so the things that were happening to me is I was having like mood swings. I gained weight. I gained about 5 or 6 pounds pretty quickly. I felt inflamed. I felt very puffy. Like I just felt like if you touched me, I would pop. It was over the summer. Like I just didn't know what it was. And that's when I started learning about perimenopause a little bit more. I don't want to make this video too long, but I also just think it's very important to understand what other women are going through so you can hear that and be like, oh yeah, maybe that triggers something for you. Like, oh, that happened to me. So please bear with me. And I really want to share these little things. So it might make this video a little longer. I will say, kind of after the summer, I mean, I was trying to eat less food. I was trying to eat less calories. Oh my gosh, do I have to restrict my food so much? It was just crazy. And I would just say the more I learned, the more I figured it out. My body it never went back to the way it was prior to April 2023. Some of my inflammation receded and I felt like, I was okay. I wasn't where I wanted to be, but I felt a little better than I did. Winter came. I was fine. I noticed maybe in the spring of 2024, I started losing muscle mass. I was like, what is happening to my body? My muscles seem to be shrinking and my flab seemed to be growing, even though I was lifting heavy. This is a sign of losing testosterone. I only know this because of research that I have done. So please don't take my word for it. Go do your research on women losing testosterone. So my functional medicine doctor, who I was already seeing a few times a year via telehealth, she opened up her hormone practice, but we were going away to Italy. And so long story short, I wasn't able to get an appointment with her until September 11th. And between April of 2024 and September 11th of 2024, that's when my symptoms exacerbated. Heavy mood swings, going from super sad to like back to happy, but being in a place of where I felt very discouraged. I am an outgoing person. The older I get, I do become more of a homebody, but I am somebody who loves to interact with people. And I found myself wanting to leave the house less. I found myself being super depressed, like just not knowing where my life was going. I don't know. I can't describe it other than sad. I felt sad a lot. And I couldn't describe it to like my husband. I would send him videos. So, he would start to understand what I was going through and more importantly, what I was feeling like. I was trying to educate him. So it wasn't me just telling him things. He could learn through other videos. So I was sending him YouTube videos. I was sending him Instagram posts from doctors that I followed, things like that. I will just say, figuring out what I needed, the testing, doctors, symptoms, like the symptoms were heavy mood swings, crying a lot, feeling very sad, hating my body, hating going into my workout room every day and looking at myself in the mirror and being like, where is the Kathleen that I used to know? Because she looks nothing like this. Even though you can say, oh, well, why are you so vain? And, why does that matter to you? Like, I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. This is me. Like, I care about my physique. I do care about what I look like. I want to feel good in my skin. I want to feel good in my clothes. And I'm going to do everything in my power to do that without, having an eating disorder or doing things extreme. Like, I just want to feel healthy and I want to, look a certain way. And if that offends some people, I'm sorry. That's me and my truth. Also another symptom, low libido. Like, I'm very attracted to my husband, our sex life has never really been an issue, but I had seen a decline, could definitely tell a decline over the past several years and didn't really understand because these symptoms, even though I just started having them like a year and a half ago, they start way before that. So I was probably losing testosterone before that, which meaning I was having low libido before that. Hormones in my body had been changing prior to a year ago, right? Because the average age of perimenopause is anywhere between 35 and 50, I believe. So I was most likely having these symptoms before, they just weren't super predominant. The whole process of figuring out is that I was just starting to follow more people on social media because as you age and as you go through different things, you start following different people. You start learning about things. You start educating yourself about different things. And I knew I was going to hit perimenopause. So I started learning about it. And that's basically how I figured it out. And then when I had my symptoms, I was hearing like what other women's symptoms were. And I really found some YouTube videos that like hit me really hard with women who I found their stories on YouTube and how they were really struggling with sadness. And they were, I would say some of them were suicidal. I never felt suicidal, but I just knew I felt bad and I hated it. Before and afters, the moments you notice the shifts. This is the thing that I think is the most incredible, is that I noticed a change after the first day. And I know you can be like, oh, that's just placebo. But here's the change that I saw. Like, I slept really good that first night because of the progesterone, I'm sure. And it's a hormone. So it's in your body. So it's like giving yourself something that you didn't have. By the way, I wanted to say, I can't remember what my progesterone was, but my testosterone was 5.1, which is super close to 0. I think the testosterone level, don't quote me, but from what I remember, is between 4.0 and like 279. Like, that's the good range, which obviously if you're on the low end of that, I was 5.1, that's super low. My doctor wants me to be as close to 279 as possible. For testosterone, I went off on a tangent on this on my Instagram the other day, but did you know that there is not one FDA approved testosterone replacement for women, FDA approved or covered by insurance, which to me that's total BS, when there are 18 to 20 testosterone treatments for men that are FDA approved, but not one of them for women. I'm sorry, but if you're a woman, that should really make you mad. But that is the before and afters. Like, before, I was sleeping horribly, which was not normal for me, and I was losing muscle mass. Like, those were the things I could physically see, right? I knew I was losing sleep. I knew my muscle mass was being lost. And I felt sad. So that was the befores. And then the afters, tomorrow being like 5 weeks of me on my hormones, I can't describe it, but like, I sent my doctor a message and I was like, holy moly, I cannot believe how different I feel. I feel 1000% different. I feel like I have a renewed sense of life. Like, I just feel like an incredibly different person. I'm happier. I'm smiling more. I'm sure my husband will still have something to say about my mood. But I don't have those major mood swings that I was having before, the crazy ones. I'm not crying as much. I was crying a lot. Just someone would say something and I would like have a memory of like just whatever, and I would start crying about it. So those are kind of the befores and afters. Now, let me tell you the difference I've seen in my physique when it comes to the testosterone and the muscle mass. My body is changing. My body composition is changing. So I can see my muscle mass coming back more. Can tell when I work out that it's not changing as fast as I wanted to. I can fit into my clothes a little better than I was before. I can see my muscle mass coming back. I can see little changes happening, which makes me feel really good. There is one more question in here. And then I want to end with something, but it says, for estrogen, am I taking a patch? Like, what's better to take, a patch, oral, and why? And this person says, I believe hormones should not go through the digestive tract. So I'm only going to answer this one way. I'm not a doctor. So I'm going to link a video of a doctor I really love who explains this well, and you can go and follow her and see what she has to say. And I will also just say that, reiterate what my doctor said to me, is that she doesn't prescribe estradiol or estrogen replacement to anyone who still has a cycle every month. One thing I did want to point out, what I noticed, I don't know what it's from with the hormones, but I noticed my periods before starting the hormones and for the past couple of years were starting to die off. I would start really strong on day 1. and day 2. So day 1 and day 2 were sometimes like a murder scene. And then by mid day 3, they were almost gone, right? Like my period would almost be gone. And like by day 4, I like barely had to like wear a tampon or anything. Now I will say I've had 1 cycle since starting my hormones. Total change. So I still had the cramping was the same. I had cramps before and I still have I cramped this cycle. And so those didn't change, but the blood flow changed, the color of the blood changed, which I think is important to know. Like, I think women should know these things. So it wasn't like a murder scene. I wasn't like bleeding really heavily. It was just, a period flow. And I didn't have to wear a super tampon. I didn't have to wear a super plus tampon. I wore a super tampon for the first couple of days. But I noticed my period wasn't dying off. Like the color was a brighter red during my period. My period did last 6.5 days, which over the past couple of years, that has not happened. That has not been the case. So it was almost a 7-day period, and it did get lighter and lighter, but the color was still brighter in red, which was interesting. And one thing that I will say is the libido has gotten stronger, which again, I think is just a good, healthy thing for a marriage. So those are the things that I have felt in the past 5 weeks. Those are some of my symptoms. Those are some of the questions that women had. I'm sure I'm going to be doing another video because I just feel like things come to me more and more all the time. And I think this is a very important topic, and we need to hear as many women's stories as possible. If I can be someone who helps other women just by sharing my story and helping you just see what I was going through and maybe help you connect the dots, I think that's a great thing. So please share this video with any women you know who are going through perimenopause. Again, I am not an expert and I am not giving any medical advice with you. This is strictly my story and strictly just my personal feedback that I want to give about going through perimenopause, the ups, the downs, the struggles, what can be on the other side. Women's hormones do decline. It is something that needs to be replaced for us for the rest of our lives if we want to feel good. I think when you start feeling good and you're like, oh, let me just get off those hormones, you're going to go back to feeling how you felt before. So unfortunately, it is something we have to be on for the rest of our life, but I don't care. As long as I can feel good and feel amazing how I am right now, I will continue to do it. And hopefully someday soon, by the time our daughters are to the place of perimenopause, more things will be covered under insurance. And I know you can get some of these things covered under insurance. But right now testosterone is not one of those. So hopefully that will change. I hope this helped. I hope this was something that you could take and you could see like, you're not the only woman who's suffering. You're not the only woman who's going through this. And I just want to continue to help women navigate perimenopause and navigate this chapter because it's a really tough season. It's a really tough thing to go through that unfortunately I don't feel was shared about, really talked about. It is now. It's starting over the past couple of years, and I think the word is getting out. So we just need to do our best to keep sharing and to keep promoting how to be healthy while going through perimenopause and, postmenopausal. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and share to all of your friends. The more we know, the better we can do, and the better we'll feel.